What's going on, guys? Bexio back, and today we got a brand new video on plug power again because we've got moves all over in the market, things going crazy. Market is up today, looking real good, and Jerome Powell, I believe he had a meeting today, and lots was talked about there that are affecting all the prices of every asset, especially risk on assets like plug itself. So before we get into that, if you are not subscribed, make sure to smash that sub button because we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. But we can look at plug's chart right here and see that it is doing all right for today, up 2% for today. Looking at its recent moves, obviously has fallen back into this red chamber here, these red section here. And if we look back to what it did before when it was in this section, obviously it was in there for a pretty long time, a few weeks, maybe even a couple months in here, just kind of bouncing back and forth. So the question is that what we're going to see right now? So the good news is we fell into this and bounced off of the bottom here of 23.63, bounced off this and are starting to move back up. A lot of better news coming into the market. Obviously, things that are going to affect plug more than the chart is the macro and economics and things going on and the policy shifts. So interest rate hikes are something that's going to affect it. That's going to affect how people view plug. And it's not really going to affect plug itself, I don't think, because they have a lot of cash on hand. They don't necessarily need that debt and cheap debt to continue growing as a company. They have the cash on hand already. Just from a chart standpoint, if we're looking at this falling back in, then obviously it's good that we bounced off the bottom here. If we look back, obviously last time we fell into this and stayed into it, we kind of didn't go towards this bottom. We made this bottom around this area here, and we bounced off of it 3 times and then rocketed up to $46. So are we going to see something similar, a bounce off of this? We bounced off it once. Are we going to go to the top here, $28, around that range, fall back down, and then bounce again and, bounce up and break out of it? Or are the macroeconomics, these macro factors, going to start coming into play and kind of pull us out of this chamber already, without having to come and stay in here for a month or 2 months or whatever the case might be? But it's kind of funny looking at plug. It's like a miniature play of what happened back here. Just a big run up and then a pretty quick collapse here, and then a little bounce, this consolidation, and another run up again. So we're going to see the same thing kind of play out. We've seen this move down right here, a little bit of a jump. So if we find a jump, we could jump out of this top of the red section, and then use this as support to kind of not go below again or bounce off of like we did back here. And then, consolidating, whether that means we come back into this range or whatnot. Probably not, because if we want to go higher, we'd have to consolidate higher, but we'd consolidate and then another move up. So obviously, if we jumped out of here, use this as support and kind of consolidate here, it wouldn't be a massive move up. Like it wouldn't take us probably further than this 48 mark or $50 mark if that happened, but it's still a good sign. So obviously, we're good short term. We bounced off the bottom, didn't break it, so that's good for the chart wise. Fundamentally wise, the Fed is kind of making weird comments. They are saying things like that interest rates, they are going to stay low for a prolonged period of time. They don't see them going up, which is obvious. They can't raise interest rates, at least for a prolonged period of time, because that's not in their playbook now. That the debt is so big that raising interest rates makes the debt unattainable and makes it a problem, a bigger problem than it is already. And we see that right here with this tweet here talking about Jerome Powell today. I think he had a meeting today where he talked and everything, and he's saying probably remain in an era of very low interest rates right after the last meeting, saying we're going to have 4 or 3 interest rate hikes in 2022. We're going to get to 0.9%, or I think it was like 0.9% interest rate. So right now, what I think for the market is like, this is something where the market can't believe the Fed. Like if the Fed comes out and says interest rates are going to skyrocket, we have to skyrocket them. But then the next meeting they come out and say I mean, interest rates, they're just going to be low for a long time. Like, they're just contradicting themselves at every turn. So the market obviously going to react to the Fed numbers and the Fed talks and the Fed talking points. But I think that the market is just really going to start to think like the Fed is not this just trusted, like anything they say they're going to do, because they've said things and they didn't do them a lot, and a lot of times. And I think we're starting to see the Fed can't do what they're saying. They're trying to control inflation with the interest rate hikes and stopping printing money and all this stuff, but they can't do that because the economy will slow down. It'll look very bad, and that could lead to recessions, and it could do a bunch of other bad things. And inflation, if you combat inflation through interest rates, then the debt gets super expensive. It gets too expensive to uphold the debt, and then you have a huge, bigger problem with that going on. So there just seems to be problems all over the place right now for the Fed and the government and the money printer. Everything just kind of becoming and showing that there's some problems here. But looking at Plug Power, something to look forward to for some news, I guess, for Plug is going to be their annual business update on the 19th. Obviously, just something they do every year, nothing crazy. They're going to be talking about their business, so nothing ridiculous, but another day as well. So we have the 19th is this news. It's going to be talking about whatever they have plans for this year. And then the next month, I think, is the 7th, so February 7th, their earnings report comes out. We'll be to see if they hit higher revenue numbers than what they were at before. That's the path we want to see. We want to see if they are continuing growing their revenue, and if they continued on that streak, it's going to be very good for them. So this is the number we want to look for. 143.92 million. So basically 144 million. We want revenue to be higher than $144 million. That means we have growth. So if we go all the way back, obviously this negative 309 million, very bad. Then we go positive 71 million, then 124 million, 143 million. So this is what, 4 quarters that they've continued to grow their revenue every single quarter. And obviously that's what we want out of the company. This growth company is to see the growth happening. I think we're in that spot with Plug right now where this growth is on its way. It's already happening. Plug is already growing. They have their partnerships, they have their plants they've built out, the infrastructure. It all goes into effect this year. So I think we're going to see continued growth of that revenue number continue going up. And it'd be nice to see them get closer to like 500 million in gross revenue for the year. So $500 million, they would be halfway to their goal of $1 billion in revenue in 2024. I think they've upped that goal to like 1.3 billion or something, or 1.4 billion. They've upped it since they started growing, so it's good signs. We have insiders bullish on Plug. Everyone is looking pretty good at Plug Power. And this is a growth company, so the outside policies and economics and events are going to affect it, and because it's considered a risk-on asset, an extremely risk-on asset compared to something like Apple or Microsoft or something. And then finally, one thing to just take a look at is Plug Power's short flow. So just the percent that it's short, 9.97, almost 10% short, which is it's up since it's going up, it's moving up. So not a like problem. 10% short isn't a problem. We still have 53% institutional ownership, which is good. That means like institutions are adopting it. This was about 50% a few months ago. So institutions continue to buy Plug, the insiders continue to buy Plug. It's got a little bit of a short flow, not a problem. It's not something like 20%, 50% or something crazy. It's a reasonable short flow, and that maybe we could see some squeezes if the price starts to rally a little bit, but nothing to be crazy there. So all in all, Plug looks pretty good. Obviously, I'm bullish on Plug for the future. I don't think this is a company that plays out and like makes its ridiculous gains in 1 year. I think that it's going to continue growing, continue developing with the outlawing or banning of gas-powered cars and gas itself. Hydrogen is going to step in, take over that kind of market, and it's just going to be something where a transition to hydrogen could happen. And even if it doesn't happen, this hydrogen power still has a place for a lot of utility, like trucking and flying and all this different types of stuff. So They have a growth strategy. Lots of people bullish on it. Hedge funds, the institutions, the insiders, a lot of people very bullish. Analysts even extremely bullish. But that's going to do it for this video. As always, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. See you in my next video.